Let's talk about housing and affordability. Jagmeet Singh says the numbers don't lie. The housing crisis started with Pierre Poilievre. Oh man, he is just like a dog with a bone in government, and was made worse by Justin Trudeau. We can't trust those who created this mess to fix it. You're right. We can't trust the people who created this mess to fix this mess that we're in. Jagmeet Singh, who's been in government since 2019 and been running things since early 2020, right? Like the supply deal with Justin Trudeau, making sure that everything happens until 2025. It's unbelievable. Here's Ryan Williams. He's responding to the same chart, and he says, "Whoa, Jagmeet, the numbers may not lie, but don't start yourself. You've carried this government, and you, sir, share all the blame." So he's the one, Jagmeet Singh is the one who's propped up this government. And as I said, he's been in government since 2019 and been running things basically by allowing Justin Trudeau to stay in power since early 2020. And here is a chart that kind of shows it. You've got Justin Trudeau takes office. And at that point in time, if nothing else happened on the chart, we're kind of in line with, we're high, but we're kind of in line with the housing for the rest of the world in kind of a, 150 point spread, I guess, sort of kind of in line, right? But then Justin Trudeau takes office and the housing prices skyrocket. I mean, France's housing prices are where Canada's were when Justin Trudeau took office in 2015. And so that's pretty wild. Like, that's an interesting situation, right? France or Britain? France, I think it is. So the housing prices everywhere, similar to the coup that's gone on everywhere in the world, are almost moving in lockstep, are doing the same thing. And I think it's bad policies that are driving this, as well as mass immigration. Maxime Bernier says, that's the predictable consequence of mass immigration, brought to you by the Trudeau-Singh Poilievre coalition. Yeah. And I mean, here's Maxime Bernier kind of engaging in the same thing that Jagmeet Singh is engaging in, blaming Poilievre and Trudeau for the housing crisis. It's all the bad policies. It's not just those two. It's all the bad policies. We have a huge amount of land. We have people who could build the houses. We could have policies that would allow people to build houses much faster, but there's lots of holdups with getting permits and checks for safety and all sorts of other stuff, all sorts of inspections, all that kind of stuff. There's all sorts of hoops to jump through when you're getting housing built. And part of the reason we can't get housing built is because of the time it takes. Another reason is the materials cost a lot more, and labor costs a lot more, and money costs a lot more now too. If you want to borrow money, before it was 1%, now it's 5%. That's 5 times what it was before, right? So, or 5% if you're lucky. So if you could borrow money, you can't borrow as much money. So the interest rates are having an impact too. And I've got a tab for that as well. So there's a lot of problems with what's going on with regards to the housing. And a lot of it has to do with mass immigration. It's predictable. It's a predictable byproduct of doing what we're doing. This is New York. Again, with today's theme, it's not just Canada, it's all the West. New York, and it says, New York looking worse than a third world country. This is Build Back Better. Welcome to Biden's America. Sorry, that was a bit loud. Here we go again. So it's just, there's garbage everywhere. It's a very crowded street. There's buildings the New York skyscape is interesting in that I wouldn't want to live there. Like Toronto, like downtown Toronto, I wouldn't want to live there. There's too many, you can't see sky. It's just buildings. It's kind of post-apocalyptic and not great. Like this is a place you live if you don't have any other options. And at this point in time, even living there is super, super expensive, right? Like downtown New York, less expensive than downtown Toronto, but still pretty expensive, right? Here's Rod, and he says, the UK population has grown by over 5 million people in just the last 10 years, mostly due to immigration. That's half the rate that we're growing, by the way, just so you're aware. How did the politicians expect the country's infrastructure to cope with such rapid expansion in the number of people living here? And Martin says, where's the evidence for that? Rod says, immigration stats are published on ONS each year. In the last year alone, immigration was 1.2 million, and the year before that was 1.1 million. So it's easy to see how the population as a whole has gone up by over 5 million over the last 10 years, isn't it? Yes, it is easy to see. Here's Doug Ford, and he says, Doug Ford explains how Trudeau Liberals' policies are making housing completely unaffordable. Here is 30 seconds of Doug Ford. Here we go.
I didn't plan on the federal government bringing in 500,000 people. That's more than Florida and Texas. The fastest growing regions in North America are Florida and Texas, and we're way above them, way above them on growth. That's over 5 million people in the next 10 years. That's almost the size of 2 cities of Toronto being plopped down here. We need the federal government to support us. We need the federal government to come up with a national housing plan, not just for Ontario, but right across this country.
How about we stop bringing people to Canada when there is nowhere for them to live? It doesn't make any sense to do that. It seems crazy to do that. It seems like a lie. It seems disingenuous to say, come to Canada, there's opportunities, there's places to live. And then when they get here, say, oh, sorry, the last apartment went 6 months ago. We've just got some made for you. Like, is that cool? Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic there. I don't think that we go from no housing to made yet. Here's Pierre Poilievre addressing this as well. Thousands of housing units in the GTA are delayed because Trudeau's deficits are ballooning interest rates. We were already heading for a shortage of millions of homes, and now building is dropping further. He is not worth the cost. Trudeau is not worth the cost. This is from the Toronto Star. It says, at just the moment when more housing is desperately needed, 36 condo buildings, adding up to more than 8,000 units, have been delayed in the GTHA. Gas is so cheap. Hamilton's become a part of Toronto. Yeah, it's just around the corner, downtown Toronto. We're in Hamilton. What? Many in more affordable communities due to the higher interest rates and a lack of confidence in the market. So 8,000 apartment buildings that were slated to be built probably in Hamilton are no longer going to be built because of the high interest rates. Pretty crazy, right? And a lack of confidence in the market. So that's not great. And people are struggling. And David Eby, the NDP premier of BC, is saying people in BC are already hurting. Maybe you could reduce the carbon tax because it doesn't do anything to reduce the carbon. So you could just give that money back to the people. It would reduce gas prices and it would put more money back in their pockets and do exactly the same thing for the environment. Right? Yay. But no, they won't do that. People in BC are hurting, he says, in a letter urging the Bank of Canada to not raise interest rates any further. Here's CBC News. British Columbia Premier David Eby is calling on the Bank of Canada to halt further interest rate hikes, saying people are already hurting, and another increase might worsen inflation. Yeah, but they're going to increase the carbon tax again next year, and that adds to the inflationary fire. And I'm sure that there will be more inflation before the end of this year. Although, who knows? Who knows? There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Here's a woman. Now, the cynical part of me thinks that perhaps there are behaviors that are contributing to this family who, she says, we make enough money, but we're struggling. Now, there are a lot of people out there who make enough money and who are struggling. It's funny to me that people who make enough money and are struggling will go out for dinner and put $150 dinner tab on the credit card and then go, I can't believe the credit card bill is this high. So that's what I mean about behaviors that are maybe contributing to that. Like if you never go out for meals, okay, but is that honest? You know what I mean? Like how many, if you never go out for meals, but you eat out for lunch 4 out of 5 days, and eat out for lunch is you go to the cafeteria, you spend $15 at the cafeteria, and you come back to your desk and you eat your cafeteria sandwich. Like that's going out for lunch 4 days a week. So you do go out for lunch, right? You know what I mean? People don't see that, but they should. I make enough money. I make enough money to afford this $15 sandwich every day, 5 days a week, times 4 weeks a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, right? So like people say we make enough, but maybe their behavior is actually contributing to their financial stress. I'm not saying that the inflation is not bad. I'm certainly not saying that, but I'm saying, yowza. There could be other contributing factors. It might not all be the government's fault, but some of it is. Here you go.
I walked out and sat in my truck and just cried. What the hell, Sam's Club? What the hell everywhere? How is anyone affording to eat right now? I mean, because we're struggling to have enough money to feed us for the whole month. I have 4 kids plus myself, and we struggle to put food on the table. I shouldn't be struggling. We make enough money that I shouldn't be struggling. I walked out.
So this is Wall Street Silver, and he says the working class can't afford basic groceries anymore. Maybe that's true. Are you seeing that where you live? Are you? And I haven't. So my kids were young during 2018, 19, and I stopped going out for food generally. I go out once every 2 weeks with people just for lunch generally, and that's kind of been my pattern. So I'll go out twice a month, probably at most, if I go out for a meal. And otherwise I cook, and I like to cook, but I don't notice a lot of people minimizing how much they go out. In fact, I see a lot of people increasing how much they go out and keeping less in the house. But it's a mix, right? So I don't know. What do you guys do, right? Are you going out for a lot of meals? Are you eating at home? Are you changing things because things are more expensive? I don't know. It's very interesting. The food professor is talking about the Metro strike. Toronto area Metro grocery workers ratify tentative agreement after a month-long strike. More on this here. So the Metro grocery stores will be back, I guess. But a unionized grocery store seems like a crazy idea. Like, the unions don't work for the unionized employees. They work to enrich themselves, and they feel that the enrichment of the union itself trickles down to the unionized employees. And I mean, Unifor is awful. I hate Unifor. They're terrible. Diaz got away with accepting a bribe, giving bribes. People knew about the bribe, everything, and nothing happened. I thought, this is a big deal. All that happened is he's no longer the president of Unifor. Done. See you later, buddy. Keep the bribe. You're out. Right? So cheapers creepers. It's wild. It's wild stuff. Here's Jagmeet Singh with his solution to the cost of living crisis. He says ongoing cost of living crisis should trigger another housing benefit payment. Inflation. Are you kidding, Jagmeet Singh? He's not kidding. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that he's the one that is causing the problem in the first place, right? Tracy says, this guy throwing money around like a drunken farm wife at harvest time. It's like he doesn't even realize what causes inflation. He needs to go. No, he doesn't realize what causes inflation. He does not get it at all. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful